You have to follow that discipline. If you're not following, you are thrown out. Is that the kind of situation there?
Yes, there is a very strict code of conduct which all of us have to follow. People get either relegated for 6 months if there's a minor conduct, and if it's a major misconduct, they are straight away. We were involved in a lot of search and destroy operations or coordinate search operations, or because at certain times we were very close to the line of control. It's very normal for you to see bullets over your head or around you.
Was there a situation wherein you felt very emotional when you were operating or in the army, wherever the activities you were doing?
I am a guy who's not very emotional, or in fact, who was not very emotional during my initial few years. And I still remember that whenever I was in an operational area, my only thought was that
What's a version of yourself you had to kill off to survive that, and still do you miss him?
before I went to army, I was a thorough introvert. So this was one of my apprehensions also when I joined army, that how will I be able to get over this personality trait, which is an obstacle. You come back after 6-8 months or few months, you see them, they have grown, they have started, they have changed their classes. So these changes are very obvious when you come back after a long time. But I think our family members understand this very well. I have not seen anybody complaining to me that I have not turned up to this thing. For my own marriage also, I just came at the last moment because
To your own marriage?
in my own marriage, I just came like a guest.
Hi everyone, welcome to Harish Jedar podcast. Today I have a privilege of sitting down with a guest whose life story reads like a masterclass in courage, resilience, and reinvention. My guest today is Colonel Santosh Bharadwaj, a 1998 alumnus of prestigious Indian Military Academy, served India for 27 years before taking a voluntary retirement. Over the course of his career, Colonel Bharadwaj served across some of the most demanding terrains, from higher altitude posts to dense jungles, from desert to mountains. He fought in Kargil. He was part of the Operation Parakram, and he commanded a battalion in Pathankot during Operation Sindoor, one of the most consequential operations in recent memory. Today, he is a certified peak performance and habit crafting coach, ICF accredited, and a certified NLP practitioner and trainer. He now brings a battlefield discipline and neuroscience together, from commanding soldier to coaching minds. Please welcome Colonel Santosh Bharadwaj. Welcome, Santosh, for our podcast channel. So, it's our pleasure to have you and learn about your personal experiences, especially with army experiences, as well as about your life. Because all Indians have a very great respect for our soldiers, because you people are securing our life. Especially we as a citizens, we sit in one corner of the maybe states or anywhere, and we enjoy all the luxuries, and sometimes we feel like we are so secured, and you are the one as a whole military system and the border security forces, you are serving us really. And I want to know that from your perspective, what made you to join army, and can you take me through the discussion you had or the conversation you had earlier, wherein you were thinking about joining army to, yes, this is the time I have to get into army. Can you take me through that experience?
Okay, first of all, Harish, thanks for inviting me. And it's a privilege to be there on your podcast. Now, to answer your question, uh, I think I was always very clear that your career is one of the most important choices you want to make in your life. So army was there at the back of mind because of obvious reasons that my father was in army. He was in the brigade of parachutes posted in Agra. So we have spent a substantial part of our life in Agra itself, where I was born and brought up. Uh, but I was not clear in my life that I need to join army only. And my father never influenced me or insisted that I need to join army. So, like any other kid after 12, the obvious choices, medical, IIT, NDA.
Yeah.
I cleared my NDA and the MBBS exam, but
Oh,
I was not clear because MBBS had a long gestation period. It takes about
yeah.
7 to 8 years for you to actually start practicing after doing your specialization. NDA, I was aware that it's again a 4 year gestation period. And once you made that choice, it can't be reversed, unlike other career. You if you don't like it, you can always change. But it's
Yeah.
not the case with army. So I was aware that I need to be very clear before I actually do anything. So I did my graduation, and because I was very fond of adventure activities, so I opted for air wing of NCC. And the primary reason was that I was interested in doing parasailing and skydiving, which
Okay.
in those times was not available to a normal guy.
Mhm.
Um, like today, you can pay some money and skydive.
Everyone can experience.
Yeah, experience that. But in those times, probably, Air Force was the only option we could have done as skydiving. If you don't want to spend money or you don't want to go abroad in these two
Hmm.
cases, which was not applicable to me. So I did that when I was doing my NCC tenure. It gave me a good glimpse of, what army rigor is all about. And during that period only, it just happened that I cleared my CDS exam. Uh, like India, I never went for the SSB, so here also I was not planning. But two of my friends who have also cleared their exam, they told me that why don't we go together and we'll have fun.
Hmm.
Uh, I said then that's not a bad idea. Let's go. Our center, luckily, as luck would have it, all three of us had our center at Allahabad. So I said, okay, let's take a dip in holy Ganga Maya and take a dip in the Triveni. I went, and as luck would have it, I got selected, and two of my friends could make it to the SSB.
Hmm.
But because I have not made up my mind, I didn't told anybody in my house, including my parents. I kept mulling over it and told one of my friend that I'm not clear. So he gave me a reference of an army officer who was there in Agra.
Hmm.
I met him. I asked him a question that what do I do? Do I join army or don't join? So this guy told me that army is not a career; it's a way of life.
Hmm.
So this was the statement which concretized in my mind that okay, army is the career for me because I was looking for a career which can have a lot of adventure activities, outdoor activities, and he assured me that they will be there in army. And that's it. I told my, it just happened then that one fine day I told my parents that I want to join army. So the first person to whom I communicated this, that it was my mother. I told her.
So, how was your mother's response when you told her so you are going to join army?
Uh, well, she was on cloud nine. She was
Okay.
elated and mighty happy. You know why? Because she told me since childhood that, I would prefer, unlike my dad who never told me for a particular profession, uh, she wanted me to become a doctor
Hmm.
and or an army officer because she said that these are two noble professions where you can serve people or the nation.
Hmm.
And as luck would have it, I decided to go for army. So yes, my mother definitely was very happy. But definitely, my father and my family members were very proud of me, and they were happy when I broke this news to them.
Hmm. Okay. So, um, actually, when you got selected and when you joined army, so in the first week, so when you go to army places, you are getting trained over there. So what was the shock you got? Because you will be having a lot of things in your mind that okay, so it will be how to practice. And most of the army personnel who wants to join army, they are prepared to get trained, and also they are ready to take a risk. So what was the shocking thing, and that broke you down, and how they helped you back to gain that confidence in you?
Uh, See, when I joined army, uh, you know, you hear a lot of things that life is going to be like this, or this is how the training is going to be. But those are hearsay because whatever people have told you, they have just told from either their own perception,
Yeah.
they have heard from somebody. So, like all, and especially me, I said, the moment I joined my first week in army was full of shock. That as my father has not told me too many details about how the life in army is all about. So, I was a very strong-minded person. Who, never liked to be bullied. Who wants things to be done in his own way, and I still very clearly remember the first day of our physical training. We were made to run 2 kilometers, and
Hmm.
within the first 500 meters, my tongue was about to touch the ground because I was totally exhausted. I was not very fond of running, though I was physically strong.
Hmm.
Somehow, I never liked running as such, and so my stamina was not good. Um, then there are very strict timings to be followed in army. And before that, I was a nocturnal animal. I would wake up late in the night, study or do whatever I have to. But there was no routine in my life. The moment I went to academy, my brain has to actually struggle for first few days
Hmm.
to follow a very strict minute by minute routine. And it was a welcome change because after the initial resistance, I could get over it.
Yeah. So you have to follow that discipline. If you're not following, you are thrown out. Is that the kind of situation there?
Yes, there is a very strict code of conduct which all of us have to follow,
Hmm.
and discipline is one of them because in the SSB itself, in fact, one of the important criteria is your trainability. Are
Okay.
you amenable to training? Because the training is one of its own kind in the country. That's the toughest training in the country for any career, for that matter. So they know that they're going to break you down mentally. So can this guy take it or not? That's the criteria during your selection. They test you psychologically because unlike other professions where nobody does any psychological evaluation, here in this case, there is a dedicated psychologist who assesses you for that. Besides two guys who dealing with the ground testing officer, we call him, who sees your performance on ground, and there's a guy who interviews you.
Okay.
So yes, discipline forms a very important role during our training. And if you don't fit into the case for some reason, very few cases are there because generally they don't clear the SSB. But if they do, people get either relegated for 6 months if there's a minor conduct, and if it's a major misconduct, they are straight away, uh, you know, made to withdraw from the academy.
Okay. Yeah. So it's a hook or cook kind of things wherein uh, sometimes it breaks out your heart. So you are put in a so much of effort to get into the army and serve country, and your body has to support. That also needs to be uh, considered. Okay. And I would like to ask you one more question. Who was the person in the army who changed you? And an officer or a fellow soldier or anyone. So, what did they say to you?
If I go back, I think I will give this credit to two persons without admitting that it was not these two persons. It was a set of my juniors, my peers, and my seniors from whom I learned whatever I am today. But these two individuals played a pivotal role in my growth as an officer. The first was a junior commission officer. Uh, I got commissioned into a Rajputana Rifle Regiment, and I had just put in about 14 days of service. In the moment I have joined the service, I am a greenhorn. Uh, the JCO took a lot of effort to, give me the practical aspects of how we conduct operations, how we do the man management, the all the important practical aspects of functioning in an army setup. Because we were there eyeball to eyeball with the Pakistani post, and in some of our posts which are very sensitive, an officer stays in those forward posts in the line of control. So this JCO ensured that I learned all those basics of army, despite he being junior to me. But I am very thankful to him that he gave me that launch pad or the foundation, which the training I had from IMA, I could build upon that. The second person I think who played a very important role was one of my senior. He was my commander, and I was doing one of the appointments. It's a staff appointment in armored formations. So just for the knowledge of the viewers, armored formations are the troops which primarily use tank or infantry carrying vehicle, basically to be utilized in deserts. So you would have seen the tanks and those kind of vehicles during the Republic Day parade. So my boss or my commander, he wanted me to learn more about my profession because he realized that at this stage, despite me being sincere and dedicated, I was still lacking certain skills which are essential to become a senior officer.
Okay.
And I was more into the outdoor activities, traveling, adventure till that particular period. So he took me under his wing. He became my mentor. And in a span of a year, I was a version 2.0. And after that, there was no looking back because it, you know, changed my entire trajectory towards how I look at my profession and how I learn that what is required. So I'm very thankful to these two individuals, besides my entire set of people I've met in my entire service, whom I learned a lot.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. And also, it's an interesting thing to know from you because you are there in Kargil war. Can you explain few moments? So how was it? Because we lost so many soldiers in those moments, and where were you there at that moment? And what was the activity you handled?
So during Operation Vijay, I was deployed with a Ghatak platoon. Now, Ghatak platoon is an infantry unit, a selected body of troops amongst the unit persons, and these are better trained. So for an infantry unit, they are special forces. But for
Yeah.
any small team operations, they are the one who are tasked to conduct those operations. So without giving out too much about the operations, I would just like to tell you that during Operation Vijay, I was not actively involved in the places where these uh,
War
these
was
units
happening.
participated in the what was happening. But we had other places where there were minor skirmishes happening, and me and along with my Ghatak platoon, we were actively involved uh, to thwart any attempt by enemy at our area and to do our side of operations. to ensure that we have that credible deterrence on our part. So it was a fascinating experience because I learned what it means when a battle happens because we saw live actions. We had real operations wherein we could cause a lot of damage to the Pakistani troops. And then our brothers were fighting in Kargil, and I get to hear about those stories. I spoke to some of my postmates who have done the operation when they came back. I realized that what that operation is all about. But most of the people were just hearing it from the news channels, which was just very limited information, I'll say. That's the first time our country saw it on television how war looks like.
Yep.
But listening it from somebody who's been part of those operations was a different experience itself. And it gave me a lot of insight that this is how the operations are conducted in real time there.
Thank you for that. And recently we had a Operation Sindoor. So you were part of that activity as well. So can you explain a bit about that? So because whole nation was like a kind of fighting towards our enemy. So wherein everybody's eye was on that Operation Sindoor. So as a citizen we feel that okay, so something is happening at the border, and sometimes it may hit our places as well. We don't know so what happens to our country and how it becomes big. How you people handled it, and what was your feelings at that moment as a soldier?
So, after the incidents at Pahalgam, we were aware about the realities and what's is there. We kept on preparing for it well in advance. And as such, our way of functioning is such that we don't do our preparation when actual operations are about to be launched. Training for battle is a exercise. We do it throughout our career because it's said that the more you are prepared in for the battle, the less blood you will spill. So when that operation actually was launched, Pathankot was one of the important or sensitive areas because we were very close to the Pakistani border.
Yep.
We have an Air Force air base here, which was one of the targets of the Pakistanis. Now, me, at that point of time, I was commanding a battalion. We were actively involved, not only in ensuring that we have adequate security measures so that there is minimum damage to the army garrison as such, our own troops, but also the civilians. So there was a very good coordination between army and the civilian administration because we do follow the concept of whole of nation, wherein all the machinery of both the civil and the army works as one entity so that there is no gap in the coordination between army and the civil administration. So it was a challenging operation because we did saw live action of drones and air defense and artillery. Everything was used, and our troops did a fabulous job of repelling any kind of threat and actively ensuring that there was no damage to our assets or our troops.
Yeah, it was handled very intelligently uh, with the support of our PM and the whole army troop. So that's where we saw a peaceful end. So yeah, that was one interesting part of our life. And also I'd like to hear from you that was there a situation wherein you faced an enemy from very nearest, and any bullet or any bomb is approaching you and you just missed it?
Okay. So yes, during My initial years in the army, when I was with the unit I told you, we were deployed on line of control, and the line of control was very active after Operation Vijay. So it was very normal, and firing happens on the line of control and this thing. But I still remember there was one operation. So just to give you an idea that it was very near to the line of control, we were aware that this place, there is likelihood of infiltration by
Hmm.
militant because there was a gap between two units who were deployed on the line of control. So we want to plug that gap, and that involves, crossing a particular area where it was mined. So there were landmines placed there. So after our due diligence, we crossed that area. But the fact was that we were going in an area which was visible to the enemy, so they could see us. And the moment we moved out of our cover and they could see us, there was firing just right over our heads, and bullets were everywhere around us. So we took cover and then, ensured that we stay in that cover and fire upon them in such a way, broadly fire from our neighboring post, and we could suppress their fire and moved ourselves to the nearest place and does the reconnaissance of that area. We do whatever we have to ensure that that gap is plugged. So this was the first incident that I just saw bullets flying over my head. And this after that there was a whole lot of operations when I was deployed in counter-insurgency operations. So whether it was with my Ghatak platoon or with the unit, we were involved in a lot of search and destroy operations or coordinate search operations, or because at certain times we were very close to the line of control. If there is any infiltration happening, we were involved with our troops there. And when you're close to LC or on the LC, it's very normal for you to see bullets over your head or around you. And fortunately, whenever we were in operations, we didn't lost anybody, but yes, we did suffer casualties
Hmm.
when the fighting starts all of a sudden. That it is silent, and all of a sudden you'll find a motor bomb. So motor bomb has got a very high trajectory,
Yeah.
unlike a bullet which follows a trajectory which is in a straight line. For any kind of shell which follows parabolic trajectory. So we did lost team members. It was very unfortunate to lose somebody besides you. You try your best to avoid such casualties, but then that's the professional hazard we have to fix.
How was your mindset at that moment? Because uh, it's a very critical situation. As a soldier, what was the mindset you had? Because uh, one part of your life is like you are a soldier, and another part of you is a you are a father, husband to your wife, as well as a son to your parents. So, what was that moment actually?
See, I will uh, credit this to Army that it prepares you very well for such operations during all such scenarios, that you're mentally prepared for it. You're physically prepared for that kind of situation. But the fact is, the moment we do such operations, that thought about people, your family members, do come to your mind. We're human beings. So, but at that moment, we don't allow that to cloud our decision making, because any absence of your mind from that moment means endangering the life of your decision. So in actual operations, your mind, before the operations, these things do come to your mind. But the moment when you know that the threat is real, I think the only thing which comes to your mind is safety of the men you have and all the things which you have been taught, which you have experienced. You apply that because in those moments there is no scope for letting your mind waver on things which are
Yep,
beyond your control. Because
I agree.
everything, you can plan anything under the sun, but the moment the first bullet is fired, all your plans go for a six. And you do the way things pan out in front of you and you react accordingly.
Exactly. So every soldier face these kind of situations in their life, especially. Hats off to all the army and personnel as well as soldiers. So that's really normal people cannot do that. Yeah. Is there a smell or a sound or a routine that will take you back to that moment? Still, even you think today.
Yeah, I think there was a tune called Our Lang Syne. This is a Scottish
Okay.
folk song tune, which primarily is played in various places like military academies or in certain moments. The meaning of the song is that you remember the times we were together, the good times we had, and you remember your friends who have been with you on those good times. So you remember that good day. And because when we practice for our passing out parade at Indian Military Academy, this is the tune we play every day for the practice. So it was so ingrained in my brain that whenever in life I heard this tune, so when I'm talking to you and this tune is in my mind, I'm still getting goosebumps
Wow.
because it makes you so nostalgic that brings back all the memories of your academy, the kind of bonding you have made with your postmates, people who are trained together. So it's been psychologically proven that people who spend difficult times together, they make bonds forged in steel. They stay, you know, friends and comrades all their life. So that bonding is so special that whenever we meet, our wives wonder that just a moment back, this guy was okay, neutral the way, and the moment he meets one of his postmen who have trained with him, he's so excited and the face expression changes, his face lights up, as if he's meeting his ex-girlfriend after a long time.
Okay.
So that's the kind of nostalgic memories this tune brings to me. So yes, it is very special to me.
Yeah, these are all wonderful memories, I think, because most of the time you will be spending your time with soldiers and fellow coaches and others, especially. So, because you are away from your family and you spend whatever the feelings you want to share or the emotions you wants to express, everything happens with that group. So there will be so much of bonding you built over a period of time. Sometimes when you get retired or maybe you want to come out of the army troop or maybe that one, so it is so hard to express your feelings, right? Yeah. And just I want to understand, was there a situation wherein you felt very emotional when you were operating or in the army, wherever the activities you were doing?
Okay, so I am a guy who's not very emotional, or in fact, who was not very emotional during my initial few years. And I still remember that whenever I was in an operational area, my only thought was that if I'm taking a team with me, I bring back my team safely from the operations and ensure that my full focus on the operations I used to plan my operations in a very meticulous way that we reduce our threat to the minimum possible extent because I knew that there is threat which I can't uh, let go. But the fact is, if I can try my best, probably if I can manage to save one life, I think my mission was accomplished. Because when I was dealing with terrorists, I was very clear that for some reason we're not able to get that terrorist on that day. We'll find him in next few days. He can't run anywhere.
Yep.
Because I faced a situation in which we lost one of our team member, and when you lose somebody whom you have spent time staying in the same tent. We used to stay in tent because when you're in operations, you stay in temporary places and you stay in those temporary tents. So I spent a lot of time with this officer, and as luck would have it, uh, we lost this son in an operation. And that day, actually, I felt very emotional because we were very close. Uh, Losing him was a setback, not only for me, but for the entire unit. But we do take in stride that such losses are inevitable. Uh, the sacrifices our officers and jawans make is a testimony to the spirit we follow that, whatever we do best of our capabilities, but we then were prepared for the consequences, for the results, which at times may be uh, the way we wanted, and at times it doesn't turn out to be. So you have to take it in your stride.
Yeah, you have to have a stubborn mindset sometimes. So uh, hard mindset, I can say. I don't know how to describe that. Every soldier carries that kind of mindset. I really hats off to you guys. And tell me about the moment wherein you missed a birthday or an anniversary uh, of your family members, wherein you felt bad about you, or maybe I don't know. So, how you would like to describe? I want to hear from you. Actually, is it still sitting in your mind that one incident?
I think I was not very emotional about celebrating birthdays, anniversaries. But yes, there are events in your life which where you want to be. I still very clearly remember in one instance, it was my sister's marriage. And as the elder brother, I have planned, that I'll be there for her and all the preparations and which happens in the house for a marriage. I'll have an active role in that. But as luck would have it, I was undergoing a training exercise at that point of time, and I couldn't come back home for the preparatory part. But even in the last moment, I couldn't even make it to those functions which happens the main wedding day. And I just reached the last day of her marriage like a guest. I wish I would have, spent more time with my sister during those days. So yes, missing anniversaries for my of my with my wife or with with birthdays. I think that's every army man has to take it in stride because there's certain part of their childhood you tend to miss. You come back after 6, 8 months or few months, you see them they have grown, they have started, they have changed their classes. So these changes are very obvious when you come back after a long time. But I think our family members understand this very well. And I have not seen anybody complaining to me that I've not turned up to my this thing for my own marriage also. I just came in the last moment because
To your own
I,
marriage?
in my own marriage I just came like a guest. Thanks to my siblings, they did all the preparation, and I just came and sat on the horse and went for the wedding day. So yeah, that's the way things are. So in the initial few years, it doesn't matter because to the time you're not married, it, uh, it's still okay. But the moment you have your kids, it does, have some more impact on you. But I think, like I said, the training is such, the spirit is such that you start adapting to it and realize that this is part of your life and you have to live it.
Yeah, I feel that emotion actually. So because uh, when you want to attend your own marriage, but you went at the last moment, you felt like I am a guest. So that was the thing. So it's a rare situation, I can say. And I want to ask you one more question. Was there a situation with yourself wherein you were in the group, military group, right? Their family members died, and that information came to fellow soldier, and he was in a very critical operation. He supposed not to be released from here, but he couldn't attend it.
Yes. In fact, there have been many instances where the guy was supposed to get married. He has to postpone his marriage because he couldn't reach in time. But marriage is one thing. You're losing somebody in your family. We try our best that that individual goes irrespective of wherever he's deployed. So it rarely happens that the guy is not able to reach his home because we ensure that even at the cost of whatever problem we are facing in terms of the manpower, that particular individual reaches home. Except when there is an operation, like Operation Sindoor or there's Operation Vijay or maybe Operation Palakram, where you are in a live situation, there is an imminent threat to an operation. So there may be an instance that, somebody distant in your family has died and he's not allowed to go. But otherwise, I think we make sure that the individual reaches him.
Yeah, so these are the situations wherein uh, we are not able to experience. So you are the person, so he's experiencing. Okay, thanks for sharing those moments. These are kind of a goosebumps wherein if you want to hear about the soldiers' life story and all. And also one more question I would like to ask you. Uh, what's a version of yourself you had to kill off to survive that, and still do you miss him?
Okay. So, before I went to army, I was a thorough introvert. So you can understand you're getting into a career which requires you to become a leader. And you becoming a leader, you have to stand in front of your troops, people, your subordinates, and you have to lead them by example. You have to communicate what you want. You have to build a rapport with the troops. And my entire existence till then, that I was a loner. I loved staying, do everything alone. And in army, we're expected to operate in teams. We
Hmm.
never do things alone.
Yep.
So this was one of my apprehensions also when I joined army that, how will I be able to get over this personality trait, which is an obstacle to become an effective leader or to communicate properly. But the training in the army and the subsequent exposure during my entire service, I think it changed the way I communicate. It changed the way how I look at people around me. I learned how to be a team member. I learned how to develop uh, rapport with people around you. And there were instances during my training where it was pointed out to me that although I was physically fit and I could do things on my own, but I need to improve upon my team member skills.
Hmm.
And there was one expedition, mountaineering expedition, in fact, which we went from the Indian Military Academy. There was a training camp. I did very well in that training camp. Uh, then we were to be selected for the main mountaineering expedition. I did well. Uh, the aspects of physical fitness and technical skills for a mountaineering expedition. But when that selection results came, I was taken back by the results where I was not selected. And I thought I am very good in mountains.
Hmm.
So I asked my instructor, "No, sir, why I have not been selected? I did very well on the training." He said very clearly to me that, yes, you are good, but we don't want good people. We want people who can perform as a team, who can look after their team members if something happens to them. That was one eye-opening moment which changed me forever. That I realized that it's not my capability; it is the capability of the team, the entire team, which will ensure that we perform in such a way that even the most difficult situations can be overcome by we performing as one team.
Yeah, I heard about you that you worked in different terrains like jungles, deserts, and also the mountains. So, can you explain a very interesting events from these three terrains?
Okay, so before joining army, the only places I've seen is probably for pilgrimage. We used to go to Vaishno Devi,
Mm-hmm.
and we have our uh, family Kul Devi at a place called Kangla in Himachal Pradesh. So basically, from the religious perspective, and the second was we going to our maternal father's home during our leave, as we were pampered in that place. I have never seen any kind of terrain beside that. I have seen some mountains when we went for Vaishno Devi at this thing, but the moment I went for my first posting itself, when you enter those mountains, which are huge, that you're seeing at 70 degree, and then you were told that, sir, this is somewhere on the top ends your post where you have to reach.
Oh.
And you're just wondering that, this will take about nothing less than 2 hours to reach there. And you start climbing. Mountains are very deceptive. When you're going and climbing, you don't get a view of that there are mountains you have to climb up, then you have to go down, then again climb up and go down. Although from the distance, you have seen that it is one straight line, you think that I'll just climb like that. But when
Mm-hmm.
you actually start moving, you realize that how difficult and time consuming it is. So that was one experience I remember when I went for my post, which was a 2 hours walk from the nearest
Interesting.
road. Deserts I saw again in army for the first time, and you have only seen in pictures till then. We went there for the first time in deserts during operational Parakram. That's the first time I saw desert, and we were deployed with an armored formation. So we saw the real operations. All preparations were done. We were set to, do our part of uh, operations, which we were told. And I still remember that the kind of vehicles, the kind of equipment we were carrying. In some of the roads we went, when we crossed that road, our equipment, the heavy equipment, the numbers were so huge that the entire road was written off. We came back after a few days and there was no road because when so many vehicles move on a small village road, there's nothing left.
Hmm.
And the experience of, we think that, when you go to desert, we will, your vehicle will get stuck unless it is a 4x4 or something. But even the best of the 4x4 vehicle will not be able to cross the sand dunes in
Hmm.
deserts. And the efficiency with which we move in deserts, we create our pathways in
Hmm.
those terrain was mind-boggling. And it was an experience of a lifetime when you see how we move in deserts. Jungles, I think I had adequate experience in both the northern part of our country and the eastern part. Uh, the, the dense jungles. I still remember, I had a troop, a boy from Nagaland. So when we were moving, like we in plains never know how to move in jungles without making noise. Our persons are not trained because we have never hunted in our life. If
Hmm.
you ever see a tribal guy, he knows how to move in jungles without making even the slightest of sound. But we average guys from plain will move and make a lot of noises, and you'll give away your position that somebody's coming. So I learned from that guy that how you move in jungles, how you place your foot, how you move in, how you listen, and
Tribal guy was accompanying you. How to move in a jungle without a noise?
tribal guy was part of my team,
Okay.
which we were operating. So he has a very good sense
Hmm.
of hearing it, moving in such a way that he will be the first one amongst us to find out that there is something ahead of us which we need to be aware of. And that actually helped us a lot because our senses are not developed for such kind of scenarios. So the more you practice, because when I did for the first time, it was unusual. And the more we did, I think we got used to it. And over a period of time, you learn the survival in jungle and how you move in jungle without giving away your position.
Yeah, yeah. So it's all interesting stories to hear because we go to trekking and those trekkings are like a very safest trekkings and all actually. But as a soldier, you experience in different terrains. You experience a whole lot. So when you mentioned about desert experience, right, making a pathway and all, right, it's really goosebumps. Was there a homecoming moment wherein you were walking through the door after long posting, and how was your feelings when you visited your hometown?
Okay. So, there have been a couple of them, especially the initial few years of my service. I think I was commissioned in 1998, and in 99 we went for the Kargil operations. I was to go on leave when this operation has not started. And when the news came on this operation, in fact, I was just few hours away from catching my train. I was about to take my vehicle, and my commanding officer gave me a call that, Santosh, you need to forego your leave and we have something coming up. So just reach back to the headquarters. So everybody in home was aware that the operation is on. So yes, like any parent and the family members were worried about you that how the things are going to progress. And after about 7 odd months, finally, when I got leave, I never told it to my family members, and I just went.
Surprise visit.
Yeah, so I gave them a surprise. In fact, so the moment I reached, I pressed the bell and just hid behind the entrance door. My mom came out, she just looked and didn't find anybody outside the door because I was hiding myself slightly away from the door. And when she was about to go back. I just showed myself in front of her, and she was just almost in tears, that I have come after a long time, and they could, they were aware that I'm fine, but still seeing me physically after a long time was a very emotional moment for them. I still remember one more instance that I wanted to go for the new year. My leave was sanctioned, but for some reason, because of professional commitments, I couldn't go.
Mhm.
But my commanding officer was kind enough that on 30th of December, he told me, okay, Santosh, you can go for 3 days of leave. That's the maximum or the best I can do it at this moment. So see if you can manage within this time period. I didn't know because the traveling time itself was about a day or a day more, a day plus. Now, till then, moving by flights was not the norm. It was more an exception. And I just, next day in the morning, evening, he told me on 30th December, 31st December in the morning, I left. You have to travel by road from your location to Jammu, which is the nearest railway there, or the airport.
Yep.
So I took my first commercial flight. I never sat in an aeroplane till then. I took that flight, reached Delhi, then finally made it to Agra. And nobody was aware that I'm coming on that New Year. Everybody was glued to the television because in those times, New Year, people used to watch those programs in front of TV.
Mm.
And the moment I landed and they saw me in front of the door, everybody was, mighty happy. And we had a great time. We celebrated our New Year together. One of those New Years, because we have missed so many New Years spending together. So yes, it was a special moment.
Very interesting. So these were all very special moments and emotional moments at the time. So I can relate to it. And how you were communicating, because in our previous communication, you mentioned that, okay, we were writing a letters and all to our family members. So how was that moment, like, because I also experienced, my grandfather was writing a letter to his brother to check whether he is really doing good, or how his family is doing, how his health, etc. So how was your experience?
So when we went to army, in those times there were no mobile phones or whatever they were very expensive, and the mobile coverage was not available in our area. So the only option was you to write letters to your
Hmm.
family members, your friends. That was the only mode of communications. So if anybody has anything to write down, he will write it down, and by the time it has reached, things have happened. When there
Hmm.
is something serious, by the time the letter reaches, the problem has been either resolved or uh, things have happened what was supposed to happen. Because you can't react after 10 days.
Yeah.
I still remember we used to have, if we all have seen the inland letter, which we used to close, it used to have, I think, about 3 pages. And we will write down all the experiences or whatever we want to convey to the person we are writing. Because in army, what happens is at such places, these letters is the only source of communication at those forward locations. Uh, and you have to be very careful what you're writing in those letters because those letters are censored, they are scrutinized. That whatever you're writing, there is no content which jeopardizes the security
Confidential informations.
confidential. So, they are screened for that. So, yes, you can't write anything and everything. You're writing to your girlfriend, you got to be careful that somebody else might read that letter. So, yes, channel. Though in the later part, the landline was available, which was in 2000, early 2000, that we used to have army exchange. So they will patch up that call coming from a landline phone, patch up with the army machine, because we never used to have civilian telephone available with us. And the voice used to be not very clear, because it has jumped multiple exchanges. And there is a possibility of, anybody listening to your conversation also in the dream. But listening to your family members on phone itself used to be such a big
Yeah.
event for you.
Happy and emotional feelings.
Yeah, very emotional feelings. You would walk for hours to come to the nearest telephone booth to make a call. These were the small pleasures of our life at that moment. Now, probably people who are young now can never understand what even a small letter, if you're not communicating with somebody for days and months, how those small words written in those 2, 3 pages matters a lot.
Yeah. So because still I remember, I was accompanying my father, wherein he used to call to his cousin who was working in UK, and also who was far from our places, especially. So we were going to booth and putting the coin, dialing it, and calling. Those were the days when still I remember. It's all very memorable moments.
Yes, indeed. Um and communication in those times had its own advantages. At times, I feel that mobile has created some benefits for us, but it also created certain stress, because the moment somebody is in having some issue at home and he just calls you up, so whatever the stress that person is facing or feeling, the stress is transferred to you in real time.
Yep.
So it does creates situations which increases the stress level of the individual, which is detrimental for your professional work. So I feel at times, letters was beneficial because they never let the stress come to you in real time. By the
Hmm.
time it used to come, the baby is already born, or somebody who is sick has already recovered from the disease. There is some minor dispute at home, it has been resolved. So yes, the
There was a gap. There was a gap when we write a letter when it reaches. By then it is almost resolved actually. So nowadays, instantly people will call and they will show in a video call itself what is happening. That is creating a lot of stress situation and anxiety in people's life. So it's really we are missing those older days, especially.
yes, it is. That's what I'm saying. Everything comes with its pros and cons.
Correct, correct. Yeah. Okay. Where were you the day you found that you're going to be a father, and uh, what's the first thing you felt?
I distinctly remember that when my wife gave me a call from a hospital that she's pregnant. I was in the office at that point of time. So, in neuroscience, we know that whenever we have a memory which is associated with a very strong emotion, it's get binded and gets stored in our memory very clearly, that it's not very difficult for us to recall that. So
Yeah.
if I remember that moment now, I can still recall that, that you're going to, become a father, you thought about it, but listening to it for the first time was an experience, because I was so happy that, now there is somebody in your life, a new member of the family who's coming. And at that moment, I told my wife that we have planned a trip to Europe. So I said, do we go ahead or not? She said, no, yes, we can go ahead with that. There's not a problem. I've spoken to the doctor. So we spend some quality time after that also. So yes, that entire time of hearing it for the first time, and when actually I was blessed with my daughter, was one of its own experience.
Yeah. It's a special moment for you. So, wherein, so when your daughter born and on that day, so were you there or were you missing them actually?
Fortunately, I was there, and for my son, my wife still says that I was not there. But for my daughter, thankfully I was there, and I was there with her for the entire time. Because if it is possible, I think every father would like to be with her wife in those moments. And I still remember holding my daughter for the first time, and I felt suddenly that that something has changed in life. A feeling which I think can't be expressed in words. Because yes, these three women in my life have changed. First it was mother, then it was your wife, and my daughter was uh, the lady, the third lady in my life who ensured that I change uh, and change for good.
To a man, really a woman persona, they impact a lot actually, the female persona. So as you mentioned, mother, then wife and daughter. So these people are very important people in our life, wherein they change a lot in a men's life, right? Yeah, so that's very true actually. Is there a moment your child said or did did something that cracked you open emotionally, and more than anything in your service ever did?
Yes, I remember this vividly that my daughter, when she was very young, just about, I think, about 4 years. Yeah. And I was busy with my job, and I used to come late from the office. And invariably, by the time I would have reached home, they would have gone to sleep. So, you're left in the morning and you'll see them going to school, and then you see them next day when they're going to school. One day, my daughter, who's very talkative and she's extroverted, uh, she wanted a lot of attention from me. So she came to me and told me that, Dad, it was a Sunday. Can you come home early? Because by the time you come, we have already gone to sleep. Can you spend some time with us? Because you're not there when we come back from school. And by the time you come, we have already slept. I never realized this till then that I was just spending the only weekends, Sundays with them, and I was not there for the balance 6 days of the week. I was so lost in my job. So I decided from that day onwards that I will adjust my professional life in such a way that without compromising on my job, I will find some time for my kids. That we are spending quality time every single day, unless there is something very urgent or I'm not at home. So I made it a point that every day we will go to bed together. I will learn some stories, which I am very bad at. I'm very bad storyteller.
You're a good storyteller actually.
Yeah. I don't think so. Probably I learned at that time. So every day, I will tell them a story. And there were days when all my stories are already finished. So I will create some fictional character in my mind and tell my daughter that, okay, what do you want? Do you want this character or that character? And in front of her only, I'll create a story from that character.
Same thing happens with me as well.
And they are happy with whatever you're telling because they just want your presence.
Yes.
They're not least interested in what the story is going and where it is going. And within no time, they will go off to sleep because they had a busy day. So I very fondly remember those nights where, we would have talked about anything and everything under the sun. I was pretty comfortable because I remember in our times, our parents could never spend that kind of time with us.
Yep.
Either there was a gap with our father, in my case, and mother was so busy in the household responsibilities that could never give you that kind of time. And we has probably spent more time with our children, if I recollect, because uh, we keep giving excuses that because of X or Y or Z reason we can't do that. But I realized during that period that if we decide, it is always possible to squeeze in some time for our children, and those moments are never going to come back.
Yep.
By they will come a time when your children become teenagers. As such, your space in their life will start decreasing. They become adult. They're going to leave home. So, just to tell you, my son is going to his college and daughter is already in college. So they are together. So for last about 1 month, I think everything has come to a standstill. All my uh, priorities, everything is them because now I know for sure that all of us sitting at one place is a luxury. It's very difficult to manage everybody's time in particular place and a time. It's difficult. So whenever we get such opportunities, we look forward for it. Because these are the things which going to stay with us.
Hmm. One important word I can say you told just now. Uh, Being together is a luxury. People feel like they search for luxury things in the outside world, materialistic world, but being together is a luxury. It's really a what I can say a meaningful word. What you said.
I'm with you. The the life which have been, propagated to us is that you become successful, that you do well in life, you hustle, you have those milestones
Yep.
set by the society that you need to do this, achieve this. But in this entire race, sometimes, especially men, I'll say, because the mother generally tend to spend more time, traditionally also. But it's the men I feel who misses out on the child or their children.
Yep.
And I think like any men, I also realized that at some stage in my life that work is fine, but I owe my responsibilities towards my children, family also. So from that moment onwards, I find ways and means how within the constraints of the job, how can I find time? And believe you me, when I look at those pictures, we have spent time together, we gone on a trip together. I think those are things which makes me alive and which gives me the exact memories at that moment.
Lovely, lovely. So I relate to it actually. Yeah. And I want to ask you a few interesting questions. Let us quickly wrap our conversation. Before that, I would like to ask a few important questions. Wherein majority of people, um, when they see Indian Army or a soldier, they romanticize it actually. People romanticize the army and the discipline and the brotherhood, the uniform. What's the part they never show to us, especially?
Yes, I do agree that whatever you know about Ani from various sources like movies or social media, there is certain amount of glamorization of the uniform, the discipline, camaraderie, the brave soldiers. a very good lifestyle. People, I see it especially with the young people who want to join army. They see the glamorous part of it.
Yep.
Officers having, parties, or playing golf, or playing
The respect they
sports,
get.
the respect they get, the salutes they get every day, and the obviously the uniform, which makes you stand out in a crowd. But I think many people go wrong that to become what you are seen is just a small part of your life. What is not visible to you, like any profession, behind the stage. So what you're seeing is just what is in front of you on the stage.
Yep.
Behind the stage, like any job, it has its own set of challenges. And for an average person, these challenges could be quite substantial. Just to give some examples that uh, we move after every 2 at best 3 years from a place, and at times in 6 months, it depends on circumstances. So there's no stability in life. We would love our children to study in good schools, but it's not possible because if you have to make a choice, either you stay with them at a place which is God forsaken, there's hardly any good school in that particular place because it's so small, so isolated from the city or the nearest city, or you leave your family to a good city and stay separated, even if you have the option of staying together. Our children have the similar challenges that they have to make new friends every 2 years. They can't have permanent friends. They have to change their teachers, the environment. It has its own advantages that you can learn how to adapt, but it doesn't give you that kind of continuity because as parents, at times we want our children to get a consistent education at a good place. So certain continuity at times is good. So I'm saying there are certain advantages and disadvantages
Yep.
of the army. So you see our cantonments to be the best in the country, but a lot of effort goes into maintaining those places. A lot of effort from the people who are there. When you see the discipline, you don't know that the basic rights of freedom which is available to a common citizen. The day you wear uniform, that freedom is not available to you. Uh, you can do anything you like, which under the rights given to you, but in army or for that matter, any defense forces, it takes away that freedom. You can't be on social media because of the security concerns. Uh, so whatever is available to a normal guy, that's not available to us. But I must also say, whatever is available to us is not available to
Normal citizens.
normal civilians. So, to give an example, again, I could travel to the places which are not on the tourism map,
Hmm.
and you see the nature in its raw form. And some of them are so inaccessible that a common person will find it very difficult to reach those places.
Yeah.
Or the accessibility is restricted at times because they are so close to the border. So being in those places where you are the only tourist or you are the only person is an experience. Because I've traveled extensively in this country. I've traveled every parts of this country, including the island territories of Andaman, Nicobar, and Lakshadweep. So
Wow.
yes, there are islands which are not, which can't be visited by a common man. So thanks to our exposure and thanks to uh, the, the facility available to us that we could go to such places. So yes, I'm so thankful.
It's a dream for others, especially, to travel throughout India and see the places. Uh, and you mentioned some places are not accessible. So you are fortunate to have access to those places, and you traveled over there. It's good thing. Yeah. So you mentioned both advantages and disadvantages. In disadvantage also, you can find some advantages. So that's the beauty part of the army system, especially. Okay. Next one question: why do people assume about you because you are in army? That's actually completely wrong.
Okay. People think that discipline and bravery and resilience comes to us naturally. But that's not true because when we joined the training academies, we were as good as anybody in the civil society. It's the grilling of the training, the environment of the army, the way it trains you, not only during the initial part, but subsequent years of your service, which inculcates these traits in you. And these traits makes you stand out. So there is a lot of sweat and blood when you see the personality of a person, because over a period of time, a lot of sacrifices have been made, not only by him or the people around him, to give him those traits, to give him that exposure, to give him those moments which are definitely not easy to handle for anybody for that matter. But you learn how to adapt and you find something good in every situation.
Yeah.
The second myth I feel people have is that army is all about enjoying and life is good. Uh, Everything is, uh, you know, party. Everything is having a good quality of life. And so the behind the scene of any job is generally not known to most of the people for many professions. And army is one of them because it's a very restricted organization. So whatever you hear is, a very uh, distorted version of the reality.
Yep.
And you don't know how it feels to do a thing again and again, almost your entire life. Like I told you that we train a lot because we believe that the more you sweat in peace, the less you will bleed in war. So even when we are not near the border, we are training for that one day which may or may not come. But it's not interesting to do because you're doing the same thing in some different form here and there. You do things which are very uncomfortable, boring, or repetitive in nature. But that's the way it is meant to be to ensure that we have a level of preparation. And what most people don't realize, I've heard some people carelessly talking that these guys are paid to sacrifice their life, but most of them don't even realize that yes, we all knew we have voluntarily joined this organization, knowing all the professional hazards. But this is a myth that we don't feel fear. We
Yeah.
are, we are brave by nature. Believe me, the average emotions of fear and other normal weaknesses, the traits which any person in the society would feel, all the problems are there with us also. It's just that our environment is such that we ensure that that code of conduct, which is ingrained into us, is followed at all points of time. At no point of time we allow any kind of slackness in that code of conduct. And I must tell you that the soldier only looks for one thing from the person in the society, that whatever he's doing, he's not looking for any entitlement. He's just looking that just my services are recognized.
Hmm.
And when I go into a gathering or a place, people just be aware that this person has given a substantial part of his life in doing something which he also don't love it every day.
Yep.
But because it's a job and a job has to be done by somebody, and it is this person who have chose to do that job. So a little bit of recognition from the society will
Yep.
go a long way in ensuring that the morale of that person in uniform is maintained.
Yep, I agree with you. I totally agree because that's really required as a nation. If everybody, as a civilian, if you want to unite and give a power to our army personnel or a whole army, that's really required actually. So we always salute all the soldiers, and also you were a part of that troop especially. And now is the time, so wherein now you are retired from the army life, and how do you feel?
Well, it was a tough decision to take voluntary retirement because you are about to leave a lifestyle which I will say one of the best in the country. But yes, you have got only one life. And the day I decided that to follow my passion for traveling, I need to leave army. I feel that I am able to adjust to the chaos, I call it, as I call it, of
Okay.
civil life. And I think I'm prepared for what is in store for me in times to come. And till now, it's been just 3 months that I've been retired. I think I'm enjoying my my retired life as such because though I am retired, but mentally I'm not. I'm still active. And I still uh, doing things which I love doing it. And every day, I didn't find a moment when I feel bored or feel directionless because everything was planned by me that this is what I will do once I retire. And those things are also as exciting as my last so many years in the army.
Yeah, it was so happy and exciting thing. So when I spoke to you last time, so you mentioned one thing. So I am exploring my life, and I don't know so where it heads, but I am in it and I'm enjoying it actually. And also you mentioned you and me met in NLP forum, so wherein you learned NLP and also many other skills you learned apart from your army, whatever the skills you learned actually. Uh, what made you to become a coach and earn these certificates?
See, I was interested in academics since my school days, though I never liked the way our education system teaches you, puts information across you. But I was very keen on learning new things. And I was like, I can read anything and everything under the sun. Give me any subject. In our time, there was no YouTube. Initially, it was just some magazines, books, which I had time, and you are deployed in areas where there is no mobile network, there are no distractions. So you have a lot of time to read. And I read a lot, not only about military history, but various aspects of our life, right? From how human mind works. Neurolinguistic programming was one of the obvious choices for that. But there was certain curiosity in me that ensured that I never sit down that I know everything. I know that there's still a lot to learn in life, and I'm still learning every day. So becoming a coach was one of those options available because even as a child, becoming a professor was one of the options. I thought about it. So Now is the time I feel that when I'm traveling, which will take care of my passion,
Hmm.
I will be able to spend some time in, you know, in my pursuit of helping others, which will not only give me a sense of purpose, but whatever I've learned, I'll try that I simplify things because some of these modalities, as you're aware, are pretty overwhelming for a person who doesn't know. So my job is to use these modalities in such a way that a person understands them. And if he wants to, let's say, change his particular habit, which is inconsistent or an aspect of his personality he wants to change, how can he make those permanent changes? I'm very sure that if somebody is interested and if he has the right uh, kind of awareness that he needs to change, I
Yep.
think anybody and everybody can change.
Definitely, because as you and me know that, okay, uh, in NLP, it's all about what we speak and how we perceive the outside world. That impacts a lot. The patterns we create over a period of time, that is also very important. Actually, many people, they cannot come out of certain situations because they feel like they identified their persona with that pattern. They don't know how to change it. Once they get to know how to rewire those old behaviors and patterns, they can bring their new version of themselves. That's a very interesting thing. And it's glad that you took that path. And also I'm interested in discussing about the parenting. I heard from you that a lot of things, because it was kind of a goosebumps and kind of enlightening words you mentioned last time when I spoke to you. Let us have one more session about different aspects of covering the life and experiences from your perspective. One thing I want to hear from you, that what would you like to tell to our audience as a soldier and as a the power of the country, you led troops in the army, and what is one thing we should have throughout our life?
I think if one thing which I would like your audience to learn, which summarizes whatever I have learned over a period of time, is that a life is too short to worry about things we all worry, including me.
Yep.
But that realization has to come every time you're worried about something. Just ask some questions that is whatever you're feeling is real? Are your concerns matter to you 20 years, 30 years from now, which you're worried right now?
Yep.
And are you living a life which you will regret or not? Because you keep living a life which we have picked up from what has been told to us by people around us. But we hardly actually think and sit down with ourselves what actually I want. So if you can live a life which you don't have any regrets, that is, I feel, a life uh, worth living. And it's not a difficult thing to do. We just have to spend some time with ourselves. And it's my endeavor also on my personal front that I live that kind of life. Whatever you have done, you don't have any regrets about it. You have done what you know at that point of time and keep living each single day the way it comes.
Yep. Very true. Very true. I agree with you. These are very precious words, I can say. Uh, thanks for joining us today in our podcast, and let us have a more interesting conversation in our upcoming days. Okay. Thank you, Bharadwaj. Uh, Thank you for your time here and discussing with us. Thank you.
Thanks, Harish, for calling me. I had a wonderful time interacting with you.
I learned a lot of things, especially because uh, in my life I uh, saw soldier. My cousin is a senior cousin. I sent about him actually. He is my cousin, so I heard from him. And one of my uncle, so he was in army, and he mentioned about very interesting incidents. So where war was happening and all. So now is the time, so wherein I heard from you. So it was a wonderful discussion. So thank you for that. Yeah.
Lovely, lovely, Harish. Looking forward to interact with you.
Yeah. Thank you.